will meet with Malam Adamu and Dr. Igege to know exactly what is happening after President Buhari gave a directive that the strike be resolved within 2 weeks, and government officials are coming out to say that there's no money to meet the demands of the union. They vow that the students will not relent in their effort to ensure the right thing is done. Meanwhile, Nigeria's ambassador to Mexico, Mr. Adejare Bello, has ordered the closure of the Nigerian embassy in the country due to fresh outbreak of COVID-19 within the mission. Report says 6 of the mission staff are tested positive to the coronavirus, and Mr. Bello confirmed that those affected are receiving maximum attention and the situation is under control. According to the ambassador, the temporary closure will also last 7 days. Is to allow for the fumigation of the embassy and the provision of other safety precautions. All officers and the local staff of the mission have been directed to work from home pending further directives. To be recalled that a total of 6.82 million cases with 329,000 deaths have so far been recorded in Mexico since the outbreak of the virus. Millions of Kenyans have today started to cast their ballots for a new president, parliaments, and local authorities. Veteran opposition leader Mr. Raila Odinga and Deputy President Mr. William Ruto are leading in the race to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is stepping down after serving since April 2013 due to a constitutional term limit. Many citizens are so desperate for relief from spiking food prices and deep-rooted corruption, but have little confidence that the next government will deliver any change. As the Electoral Commission figures show, large numbers of young people have not registered to vote. Many say they are frustrated by widening inequality and an entrenched political system overseen by the same old elites. According to report, the main candidates vying to replace him are far from fresh faces. The 55-year-old Mr. Ruto has been Kenya's deputy for the past 9 years, though the two men are falling out, while the 77-year-old Mr. Odinga is a veteran opposition leader who has won Kenyatta's endorsement. Many outsiders are watching the election closely. Kenya is a stable nation in a volatile region, a close western ally that hosts regional headquarters for Alphabet, Visa, and other international groups. But inside Kenya, some are dismissing the vote for president, parliaments, and local authorities with a stroke. This is the World at Noon, coming to you from Osun State Broadcasting Corporation, Ile-Awiye Okebaile Osogbo, Voice of the West. Now, our mid-news message. Life is full of ups and downs. Do not allow your present situation overwhelm you. No condition is permanent. Former American President Mr. Donald Trump has disclosed that his Florida home has been raided by officers from the Federal Bureau of Investigation. Mr. Trump, who made this disclosure in a statement, added that his Mar-a-Lago home located at Palm Beach was occupied by a large group of FBI agents and broke open a safe. Report says the raid was reportedly connected to an investigation into Mr. Trump's handling of official papers. To be recalled that American presidents are required by the Presidential Record Act to transfer all of their letters, work documents, and emails to the National Archives. Although the FBI and the Justice Department have not commented on the reported search, report says there are other federal laws regarding the handling of classified documents. However, Mr. Trump's lawyer, Christina Bob, told journalists that some papers have been seized during the raid. An Israeli court has sentenced a former health minister, Mr. Yogov Lizma, to probation and a fine for obstructing justice in connection with a protracted extradition case against a former teacher accused of sexually abusing a student in Australia, Ms. Marka Lifa. Information has it that Mr. Lizma, a former health minister and long-time ally of former Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, resigned from Parliament earlier this year after striking a plea deal with prosecutors. He was accused of pressurizing ministry employees to alter psychiatric evaluation to make it appear that Ms. Marka Lifa was unfit to stand trial. Ms. Lifa was extradited to Australia in January 2021 after a 6-year legal battle that strained relations between the two countries and angered Australia's Jewish community. Ms. Lifa has pleaded not guilty to the charges, and her trial is expected to start this month. A man charged with firearms and serious organized crime offenses has appeared in court after being extradited from Brazil to Scotland. The 44-year-old Mr. James White had an European arrest warrant issued against him in 2019. He was located in Brazil in 2020, and Police Scotland then submitted an extradition request to the authorities. Mr. White tried to halt the process by appealing the move to Brazil's Supreme Court, but in November last year, judges ruled the application was valid and could proceed. He has now appeared in private at Hamilton Sheriff Court, where he faced a total of 26 charges, including 2 prosecutors alleged are linked to serious organized crime. Mr. White faces 14 charges under the Firearms Act, including possessing firearms and having them without a license, and also one under the Explosive Substances Act. He is further charged with reset, being concerned in the supply of drugs, and also concealing, disguising, converting, and transferring criminal property. And here again are the highlights of the world at noon. The National Association of Nigerian Students is set to engage the Minister of Labour and Employment, Dr. Chris Ngige, and Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, over alleged reports that the federal government has no money to meet the demands of the striking academic staff union of universities. Millions of Kenyans have started to cast their ballots for a new president, parliament, and local authorities today. An Israeli court has sentenced a former health minister, Ms. Yaakov Lizma, to probation and a fine for obstructing justice in connection with a protracted extradition case against a former teacher, Ms. Khalifa, who was accused of sexually abusing a student in Australia. And that was the World at Noon, edited by Olushola Egbodofo. Today's news talk is a warning light to the danger posed by the railroad to the traffic at various points of intersection in Osogbo, the state capital. The piece written by Adeboye Popola of our editorial desk calls on the relevant government departments to act speedily to avert the waiting disaster. Tragedy will never strike without beaming a warning light to aid the vigilant to exercise reasonable diligence to avert the looming catastrophe. Therefore, it is imperative for relevant government agency or department to wake up and perceive the danger posed by railway at every point of intersection with the traffic in Osogbo, the state capital. The railroad, which traverses part of Osogbo, intercept inter-roads at Okeoniti area, Old Garage, Olaya Junction, Awosuru, and Otefun Ayekale areas in Osogbo. In the past, the precautionary measure was the closing of intra-road where it crosses the railway line anytime the train was moving to forestall human casualties from possible accidents which could arise when the vehicles coming from other sides of the road jammed the moving train. But today the reverse is the case, as the intra-roads are left open without any traffic signal to alert road users that a moving train is approaching the crossroad. The inherent danger in the railroad crossing heightens where the interjection point is at road bend or the summit of the hill, as the case in Awosuru and Okeoniti areas in Osogbo. It goes without saying that the vehicles from either axis of the two roads mentioned could run into the moving train, since there is no signal light and other precautionary measures put in place to caution the road users. The case of Olaya Junction, Osogbo, where the roadway line intersects the dual carriage road, is another death trap for traffic anytime the train is moving. The vehicles from Okefia axis from Olaya Road are always at great risk of being crushed by moving train, as they could encroach on railroad when stopped by the traffic lights. Likewise, the other vehicles crossing to Alekwodo from Odiolowo could also fall victims of rail accident, as they might not easily take notice that a train is crossing as soon as the road is opened for them to pass. Motorists along Old Garage Okefia Road could also fall victims of fatal accident when crossing the railroad from other sides of the road. It is unfortunate that many have fallen victims of ghastly crashes involving the moving train and motorists at the railroad crossing in this area. It is apt to state that the reason for the bloodbath on railway line is lack of adequate preventive mechanism that completely insulates the road users from hazards of crossing the railroad. Therefore, it is important to note that the upgrading of intracity roads by the present administration in Osogbo will make the installation of precautionary measure at every point where the road intercepts the road a child of necessity to ensure accident-free railway crossing for road users. News posits that it is equally necessary to sensitize the road users, the cyclists, motorists, and even the pedestrians to possible dangers that could arise from reckless crossing of rail line. And indeed, it is pertinent for road users to exercise caution when crossing the railroad and be vigilant to spot at the shortest visibility range the moving train. A switching time could untimely save more than 9. That news talk by Adebo Ekwopola of our news desk stressed the need for Osun State government to be proactive in providing precautionary measures at various points where the rail intercept the traffic route in Osogbo, the state capital. For more about you can visit www.osbcng.org. Thanks for listening. Good afternoon.
You are live. On Osun Radio. Osun Radio.
Community radio at its best.
104.5 FM.
Come, everybody, we're gonna listen to the show. We play your reggae music that is pleasant to your soul. It's a